Hey, this is CJ here, and in this video, we are going to be talking about Juniper basics. Okay, this video is actually targeted to those guys who have absolutely no command over Juniper CLI whatsoever. It's just like if you have an homogeneous environment in your enterprise, and your boss tells you that he is actually thinking about bringing in Juniper devices, where it could be a router, or it could be a switch, or an SRX firewall, then uh, you don't start scratching your head. Just watch this video and you will be able to get yourself up to speed in Juniper in like 2-3 hours. All right, if you watch this video 2-3 times, that's going to be awesome, because in this video we're going to be talking about the very basics of Juniper. We're going to be we're going to be going through the demo of the configuration, like the IP address, and the SNMPA and all those things, in order to get things started. So once you get a hang of the Juniper CLI, then you know where to go in order to be able to configure more settings, right? So because I mean, not everything can be taught in a video. Just like we have Cisco videos, we have Cisco for technology specific videos, but there are so many things which are not covered in a video, right? So we need to go online in order to get more information, but this will have a lot of information for you so that you can get, once again, up to speed. All right, okie dokie. Now, as you can see, that Juniper is actually running on my GNS3 application. In order to be able to configure Junos in GNS3, we don't have to configure too many settings. If you come across a video where you are taught how to set up Junos on GNS3, and it talks about configuring 10,000 things, don't watch it, or just skip that video. I can show you just one small image. This is the QEMU. We have to make sure that the QEMU is working fine, and in the Junos tab, we just have to define the RAM as 512 megabytes, 6 interfaces. You can go with 5 interfaces as well, not a problem with that, and one identifier. That's about it. No more settings required, and you shall be able to run Junos without a problem. Now, this is the first thing. I'm going to just minimize this video, or this image. Junos takes about 4.5 to 4.75, or like 4 minutes to 5 minutes to boot to the CLI. Each image, right? If I switch this thing on, it's going to take about 4.5 minutes to boot to the CLI, right? And if you try to be a little more cute and smart by switching on 3 images together, right, then it's going to take 4.5 into 3, or almost 13.5 to 14 minutes. It's not going to boot all the 3 images in 4.5 minutes, right? It's going to take 4.5 into 3, and so this is going to be a it's a long process. It's not a run of the mill type of computer. It's a very powerful computer, but what we have to understand is that the Junos hard drive, the Junos image, it expands astronomically from few megabytes to few gigabytes, and if you're running 3 images, then it expands for all the 3, right? So that actually is the reason why it takes a long time. Now, when you switch on these images, you get this QEMU window. This is a pretty crappy window. If you click on this and then you want to get out of it, you have to press this. And while Junos is booting to the CLI, you will not going to see any activity on this particular screen. And if you want to see what's happening in the background, then you have to go to the secure CRT and then click here. I'm going to show you something here. This is exactly what happened when I booted to the CLI. Something happened. So it's going to sit like that for 4.5 to 5 minutes, and you can go and then make a coffee or go out and and smoke a cigarette, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I've shown you this thing. Oops, hold on. Yeah, so I've shown you the QEMU as well as the image. I'm sorry, I cannot show you this thing. That's okay. There's a name of the image and the path. That's okay. That's fine. Alrighty. Now, this particular topology is built, already built. Okay, so I'm going to be configuring everything on this. The raw, the prod stand for the production, or it's not that productive as of now, but it's going to have some more configuration than what this had, like some IP address already defined and stuff. And this these routers are actually connected to the server which is running, and this server comprises of the SCP, the FTP, the SNMP, I believe there's syslog, the TACACS, and radius. Although I have not configured the radius and the TACACS on the server side, but we are going to be configuring TACACS and radius and all those things on the CLI, just to give to demonstrate as to how they are configured and where are all the settings located on the CLI. Okay, some of the things will definitely going to be shown, so don't worry about that. This is Windows XP. I'm going to be getting back to this thing later. Okay dokie. Now, so we have Juniper installed on GNS3. So let's talk about what JUNOS is all about. Like JUNOS is just like Cisco, JUNOS operating system. It's just want to give a basic information, like the moving on the packets through the network device is actually the function of the network operating system, which is something which Cisco is also. So we have the forwarding plane or the data plane, which has the responsibility to move the packets. Now the packet forwarding actually happens. Packet forwarding is something which handles the packet to move from each interface, from inbound interface to the outbound interfaces. Okay, and all the function of the control plane, or where the routing table works, is to run the routing engine. All right. Now, the first point, the basis of the JUNOS kernel comes from the FreeBSD Unix operating system. So it's a Unix-based operating system. Okay, and it's a modular architecture, so which allows individual control process to run in their own protected memory space, which is known as the daemon, right, or the daemon, I believe, daemon, whatever. So each module has a, like I told you, that's a specific processing resources and run in its own protected memory space, avoiding the processing conflict that can occur in other platforms. Like if you want to switch on, if the router is not working fine, or it's you don't have to restart the entire router. You can restart the process which is causing the problem. It could be the routing protocol daemon or the SNMP. Although routing protocol daemon is a pretty drastic restart, because it's a very drastic step, because it's going to start all the protocols that depend on the routing protocol, which almost everything like RIP, we have the BGP and OSPF, and IS to IS as well, intermediate system to intermediate system. Okay, let's talk about the booting sequence. This is the last bit of a theory that we have to deal with. I mean, there's a lot of theory. I have to show you this diagram. The booting sequence is like when the boot device boots, it first attempts to load the software image on the USB or the PC card. Okay, if the flash or the PC card is not present, as in our case in the GNS3, or if it attempts to load the software fails, the device tries to tries to load the image on the compact flash card. Okay, so finally the image of the software of the hard drive is loaded. Rotating is the hard drive. If all the three steps fail, we get the error message. Well, hopefully we don't get any error message in our lab today, and because it's already booted up. Okay, so without much further ado, let's jump to the raw. Raw is Jericho. Sorry. Okay, so when we get a fresh image, it is like you have just switched on a new device. You get to see this amnesiac, right? What amnesiac prompts indicate that we are booting the image from the factory default JUNOS software, okay, where no host name and nothing has been configured. And by default, when we are on this CLI, we have to make use of the root account to get to the CLI. Now normally it asks for the password. I'm not sure why it's not asking. As you can see that the the cursor jumped to the middle of the screen. You have to just press enter to bring it down. Normally it asks for the password, but it did not. So if it asks for the password, just hit enter, because there's no password by default. It's not like admin in many other in checkpoint. It's root and no password. We have to set the password, right? The so what is a root user? I mean, if for the Linux users, the Linux geek, the root user is actually super administrator account, is a king of the hill who can perform any operation from running checks such as looking at the status of the device. uh, my computer keep it, but don't show the, sorry for that. So like from running from the checks such as the looking at the status of the device to changing and configuring stuff on the device. So if we logged in and as a root user, we shall see this shell, and this is the shell. Okay, now in order to enter the JUNOS thing, JUNOS CLI, we have to just type CLI. Wait, now I'm going to tell you what this is all about in next couple of minutes. We just have to deal with it. Okay, so now we're in the operational mode. There are two modes in Juniper. One is the operational mode, the other is the configuration mode. All right, so right now we are in the operational mode of the CLI. We see the line prompt, we show our, here we see this root, and if we log in with some other user account, we see the @ symbol, this thing, okay, and the host name. We'll see that right in next half an hour or so, like before that. One more thing, if the videos goes beyond a certain point, like 35-40 minutes, I'm gonna stop the recording and I create a part 2 of it, because I think I have to talk a lot about many different things. So it might just be one of the longest videos. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, now just like Cisco, we can also press star to get help, right? So if you have worked on Cisco CLI, you will really appreciate that. I mean, you will really like the fact that you can do a lot of similar things. A lot of things are similar in this case. A lot of same things like show route, show. One of the most important differences between Cisco and Juniper is the fact that there is no keyword as IP. Okay, so show IP route becomes show route, and show dash dash show IP this, show IP that becomes show IP is going to be deleted, and show X show Y, show IP X becomes show X, show IP Y becomes show Y, right? So one of the major differences between Junos iOS is the fact that we don't need to use the keyword IP. Okay, in order to get into the configuration mode, we have to type either CO, because there is only one command which starts with CO, configure, or we can type edit. Let me get out of it by typing exit, go, edit, exit, edit. So edit means that you are editing the configuration. Okay, because there's no command start with the 2 letters, that's why I took it as, oh sorry, now we are in edit. Now go here, configure. Okie dokie. Now let's talk about let's get back out of this and talk about the operational mode. So what is the operational mode? It is like the exec mode in Cisco. This is where a set of commands to manage and monitor device operations can be executed, right? For example, we can monitor the status of the hardware and the software and perform maintenance tasks such as the upgrading the software and managing device files. I'm going to show you that. And what is a configuration mode? So the configuration mode is just like the global configuration mode in Cisco. We enter these command statements to define all the properties of the JUNOS OS, including the interface, the general routing options, general protocols, user access, several system and hardware properties, everything, right? So, and how you can differentiate it? This is the CLI mode where you can run all the monitoring and other show commands, extensive show commands. Let me show you how many show commands you can run here. Show. There's so many show commands that you can run here. Okay, so if you see the arrow, I think this is a greater than sign. Yeah, greater than sign. That means you're in the operational mode. If you see a pound, then you are in the configuration mode where you configure stuff, just like a global configuration in Cisco world. Okay, so the Junos, I'm sorry, the Junos CLI structures the activities of each mode into hierarchies. Okay, hierarchical design and not the flat structure is what gives Junos an edge over other network operating systems. That is the most important thing that we have to understand. I'm going to show you the hierarchy and you'll be like, wow, this is really cool. The hierarchy of each mode is made up of branches of the related functions commonly used together. Okay, so let's jump into the hierarchy now. First of all, hit this. Okay, as you can see that we only have few commands here. Everything in Junos, almost everything, is set with the command called set. You set a parameter, whatever. So set. Now see. Okay. Interfaces. Let me just back out here and give you something. Let's talk about the hierarchy first. Set. Most of the things which affects the entire system are, as the name suggests, are under the system hierarchy. So if we want to go, let me show you. Edit. As you can see that right now we are at the root. The edit by itself is the root. Okay, so if we want to go to the system, we can type edit system, and now the configuration banner tells us that we are in the edit system. This is a second level. This is the first level. This is second level. Now all the commands which are under the hierarchy, under the system, are going to be shown on the, okay, hold on, are going to be there. Now if we type set here, these are all the commands which are under the system hierarchy. Okay, let me get back out of it. By the way, you get back by typing the exit. I'm going to show you more stuff. Don't worry about that. Ooh, no, I don't want to enable this. Let's talk about something more. Okay, so okay, interfaces. Now another set commands. These are the only commands that can be executed in the interfaces under the interface banner, configuration banner, or the hierarchy. Okay, as opposed to set. If you back out of this, go to set, no, edit system, set. Okay, let's see, we want to set syslog, not syslog, SNMP, SNMP. Do we have in here? No, we don't have it here. Okay, syslog. Okay, yeah. So when we type set syslog, we see so many options here. Okay, now we can jump into syslog straight away. Now we are in the third level configuration. This is the root, system, and inside. Now if we run set, we're only going to see commands that are under the syslog hierarchy and not under the system hierarchy. If we back out one level here and type set, then we're going to see the system level command, and syslog was part of the system. Getting? Are you getting this point? So, okay, let's talk about one more thing. Set NTP, and there you can see there are a lot many options here. And if we want to minimize the typing, we can just go under the NTP, and now we will not have to type set NTP, because if you type set NTP, it's not going to work because you're already inside the NTP. So now you are going to type something different, more options, and let's see if we can configure, we can get deeper into the hierarchy. Set edit server, nope, server is not there. Okay, NTP, let me see. Set system services. I'm gonna show you something real quick. Okay, this is a cool edit. As you can see that there is a interfaces here, and interfaces is not under systems, it's by itself. So we can go in the interface. Now if we run set, then we can, okay, there's an interface. One of the interfaces on this particular Junos is EM0. No, there are 6 interfaces, and it starts from EM0 through EM5. So EM is a EM is the virtual interface that actually, if you're familiar with I believe which version of Linux, you would know. I'm not sure about the Linux version of, it starts from F. Whatever, not a problem. So suppose edit EM0. Yeah. So this is the interface. So now we are in the interface configuration mode. Okay. And if we want to set some parameters on the EM0, then these are the properties that can be set, like the MAC, like the MTU, the MAC, the unit. And I'm going to talk about all these things. Don't worry about it. Whole time. Disable description of the interface. Okay. Now, as you can see, that we are in the EM0, the interface, third level from the root. So if we want to jump one level, we can type exit, okay, or we can type up. Did you get that? Let's try again. Edit, interfaces, EM0. So in order to get back to the root, we have to go 2 levels up. So up, up. So why is this so important? Why and how is it useful? Like for example, if you're working under, let me see, edit EM0. Oh, I'm sorry. Edit interfaces EM0. So you can type both the commands together. So if you are working here and you want to jump to this, then you just type up. If you want to jump back to the root, then you type top. Okay? And the up and the down arrow key is just like what we have in the Cisco world. So this is how you go. You can only go up and down. You cannot go across in the hierarchy. Like for example, in Cisco, if you are configuring a routing protocol, you can just type interface FA 0 by 0 or FA whatever, right? And you can just completely skip the routing configuration and jump to that. You cannot do it in this. You can jump across. You can go up and down. Obviously, down by typing the commands. So that is actually the up and down key and how it works. Up, sorry, there's no down, and up and top. So let me see. So right now we are in the configuration banner, edit interface EM0, and we want to go to the top. We go to the top like this. Now, if you want to go one level up, up, one more level up, up. Another good thing, up, and then see number 2. If you want to go 2 levels up, it's going to bring us back to this. So cool. How cool is that? Let's try again. We are in the 3rd level, level 3 of the configuration in the hierarchy. You want to jump back to the root, up, up, or up 2. So if we are in the 7th level and you want to jump to the 6th, you don't have to type up, 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 up. You just have to type up and the number to which you want to jump to. If you want to run a command which is under the root and you are in the deep into the hierarchy, then you can run that command. Let me show you this. Say for example you're here and you want to run the command which is in the system. So you type top set system syslog what host XYZ. So without the use of top, you cannot type the entire string. Let's try it. Set system. Where is system? There's no system. It won't allow you to complete it. Normally, hold on. Yep. One good thing about Juniper is that normally when you type a command and you hit the tab and you get this this up arrow, you see that there is an error. Okay, in Juniper you will see that at the same time. You don't have to hit the button, you don't have to hit enter or return and then see that this error. You will gonna see it straight away. That's a good thing. So why are we not able to set the system thing? Because we are deep into the hierarchy. We are in EM0. In order to be able to execute the command in some different hierarchy, first we have to go to the top, or in say if we want to okay, if we are in the interfaces, let's do this. Set unit this and exit here. Set. These are the commands which are under the EM0 and these are the commands which are under the hold on, sorry, I'm so sorry, I'll have to do it again to show you one more thing. Edit, edit, and interfaces. Okay, and set. Okay, yeah, fine. And edit em0 set. Right, so these are the commands which are under the configuration banner of interfaces. These are the commands which are under the configuration banner of the interface itself. Now, for example, if you want to run interface set, let's see if we can do that by using just the up key. Up interfaces. No, we can't do that. It's not possible. Only command, this was just to demonstrate. Top is the only command with which you can run other commands, right? So top, well, let's see, hold on. Up set, nope, nothing. Top set. So I hope you're getting this, getting my point. So you want to run set system syslog, but system is not getting executed, getting passed, because we cannot jump across the hierarchy. We have to make sure that we go top. If you do not want to go top, just type top set system syslog and then the rest of the command. And once the command is executed, it's going to bring you back to the same edit interfaces em0 configuration hierarchy. Okay, alrighty, let's see if I can give you a demonstration on two most important things. Yes, sir. Okay, now let's talk about the containers and the leaves. So what is a container? Container is a box, right? Containers contain subordinate levels of hierarchy. Let me go just put this thing to the left and then show you what I'm talking about. All right. So as you can see that the system is a main container, services is a subcontainer, SSH is also a subcontainer, and then this is the leaf. How can you figure out that this is a leaf? Because a leaf ends with the semicolon and there is a curly bracket next to the name of the container. Let's talk about more containers. So set, right now we are at the root, as you can see in the configuration banner. Set system, and there are so many containers under that. Let's talk about syslog. I just love syslog, or what? Syslog. Oh, let's talk about something else, man. Let's talk about SNMP. SNMP and community and public. Okay, this is a container, SNMP. Community is a subcontainer, public is a subcontainer, and the value of the public, sorry, the community, so this is the subcontainer till this point. The value of the community is the leaf itself, right? This, as you can see, show public. SNMP. Sometimes this is also depicted like this: community public. Let's talk about this. Syslog is the system is the main container. Then we have syslog, we have the user, any emergency is the leaf, right? Let's take another example. In this case, the rate limit is the leaf, the end of the hierarchy. That is, they have no subordinate statements after this. Let's take another example. Okay, pretty good example here. So we have OSPF. Area is the branch or the container statement. This is the main container, sub container. Under area there's an interface, and in the under the interface we have the leaves, the hello interval, because hello interval will have a value only. Interface type, a value. Metric, MTU, poll interval, priority, retransmission interval, right? Similarly, RIP will also have this thing. Let's give another example of what containers and leaves are. Let me zoom into it, and I'm going to make you read this. Each statement at the top level of the configuration hierarchy resides at the trunk, okay, or the root level of the hierarchy tree. The top level statement are container statement. These are the containers, 1 2 3 4, and this is the leaves containing other statements. So it's a box inside of which other boxes or other information is stored, containing other statement that forms the tree branches. The leaf statements are the leaves of the hierarchy, and individual hierarchy of statements which start at the trunk of the hierarchy tree is called the statement path. So now the protocol statement at the top level statement, giving this example, the OSPF area and interfaces are subordinate container of the higher statement. This, because you can see that there's a curly bracket, right? Whenever you see the curly bracket, it means that there's a container. This is the top container, this is a subordinate container, and they are branches of the hierarchy tree, and the hello interval statement is a leaf on the tree, which in this case contain a data value and the length of the hello interval in seconds. The leaf depicted by the semicolon. Okay. Alright, now let's talk about this one. The CLI indents each level in the hierarchy to indicate each statement's relative position in the hierarchy, and generally sets off each level of braces, okay, called braces, I call it curly brackets, using an open brace at the beginning of each hierarchy level and closing brace at the branch, just like an HTML thing. If the statement at a hierarchy level is empty, the braces is not printed. That's important. I don't have the example to show that, but you can understand from the statement. If the statement at the hierarchy level is empty, that the braces are not present. Each leaf ends with a semicolon, as you can see after the 10. If the hierarchy does not extend as far as the leaf statement, the last statement in the hierarchy ends with a semicolon. This one. So if you have not configured the properties of this interface, like sub property, that you're gonna see it here. Alright. So the configuration hierarchy can also contain one-liners at the last level of in the hierarchy. One-liner remove one level of braces in the syntax and display the container statement, its identifiers, the child or the leaf statement, and its attributes are all on one line. For example, in the following sample configuration, level 1, if you're familiar with the IS to IS, intermediate system to intermediate system routing protocol, which is the IGP, then you must be aware of the level 1 metric. It's also a kind of a level 1. I'm not sure how can I give you the example of this thing. Level 1 routes are the like E1 routes in Cisco, I believe so. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's been a while. I mean, it's almost like 5 years since I've read about IS to IS. Anyways, Next example, one more example. Let's talk about one more example. So top statement under the protocol is OSPF area 00, another subordinate command container, and then we have the interface, and these are the leaves 1 2 3, and the closing bracket, closing braces, braces done, right? All done. So you got the hang of the containers and the leaves. Now let's talk about the difference between the Cisco and Juniper. We already talked about the lack of IP, the keyword, the show IP route route. Okay, this difference is perhaps the most important. The big difference between using Junos and the Cisco IOS is that we we don't make changes to the actual configuration on the device, but we do that on a file on or something known as the candidate configuration that we later commit. So whatever changes I have made, or I have not made any changes at this point in time. So if I am to set an IP address to an interface, this is not going to be reflected on the running configuration, right? It's just like unlike Cisco, where you just type the IP address and it starts working. No, we have to first configure stuff, and then we have to issue the command committed. Oh, sorry, commit. Not committed, commit, COMMIT. Okay, so when we enter the configuration mode, we are actually viewing and changing a file called candidate configuration. Now candidate configuration enables us to make configuration changes without causing any operational change to the startup configuration, the main file, which loads up when you boot the device, and it is also known as the active configuration. So we have candidate configuration. Let me just write it down. Candidate configuration and active configuration. All right, this is what it is equivalent to the Cisco's startup configuration. All right, you can say that there is no running configuration in Junos. You can say that the router or the switch does not implement the changes we have added to the configuration until we hit or we type commit, right? Which activates the configuration on the router like this, and or the switch, and which is equivalent to writing the copy running configuration to the startup configuration, right? There is no running configuration in Junos. Candidate configuration enables us to alter our configuration without causing potential damage to our network. How? So for example, if we have configured a lot of things, suppose you're working on a router and you have after making some changes, you have logged yourself out of the router, and I was like wondering, I will give you an example. The most basic example would be configuring AAA. When you issue AAA new model and you just lock yourself out because you have not configured the things correctly as per the requirement. So you can keep typing the commands, and it's in Junos, and it's not going to be reflected until otherwise you commit them. So you have to stay committed, just like you stay committed to your girlfriend, right? So where is this candidate configuration file located? Well, the answer to that is there is no file associated with the candidate configuration. The configuration is held in the system memory. Okay, it's held in the system memory. That is the most important thing that we have to understand. I've already given you the demo of the edit command. It's one of the most important command that you have to be worried about. Okay, let's see what else can we do in this. Okay, let me start configuring some stuff on this CLI, and I'm gonna give you a demo of the show command. But before that, let's talk about some help. Okay, now there is an onboard documentation in Junos. Now, if we want to more information than what is provided in the context sensitive help, this is the context sensitive help, right? We all are aware of this. And if you're coming from the Cisco world, we can make use of the Junos technical documentation on the device through the help commands. This is similar to the man pages in Linux. So we have few options. So let's start. Type help, and as you can see that there are 5 options. I'm not sure how you can pronounce this thing. Apropos, reference, syslog, tip, topic, and pipe. I'm going to talk about pipe because it's one of the most important things, most powerful things in Juniper. So what is apropos? Help apropos. It is actually displays help about a text string contained in a statement or command. Let's type help syslog and see what comes up. It's building that. It's going to come up. This command is actually useful when we remember a portion of the command but not the full statement. Okay, these are the parameters. Now you must be wondering how to get out of this. Press Q to quit. Okay, the command actually, the help apropos looks for all the matches in the statement or command names as well as this help string that are displayed for these. So let's see. So when syslog is configured, all these parameters are, all these I guess the settings or messages are sent to the trap server. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Help and help reference. So what reference does is it actually assists with configuration syntax by displaying summary information for the statement. So help reference, let's see. Let's see OSPF. Help reference OSPF. Oops, OSPF. Let me see. Insert help reference OSPF interface. Okay, let's stop it here. So it provides assistance with configuration syntaxes. So as you can see that we have the configuration syntax. This is the interface name. It's disable. Okay. All the configuration syntaxes under the interface name, description, disable, bidirectional forward detection, liveness detection, all these statements under this. Let me see if I can find some more. OSPF delay. Let's talk about delay. Delay enter. Whew. Help reference and syntax. Delay milliseconds, hold down milliseconds, all the things. So if you want to know the syntax, that's the place you want to go. Okay, so third one, let's see, help syslog. As the name suggests, it displays information on specific syslog events. Okay, syslog. Oh my goodness, there's so many events here. So if you want to say, let's see if you want to give information about this guy. Okay. Send cookie protection deactivated, intrusion detection services, blah 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 blah. You gotta hang out this thing, right? And let's talk about help. And fourth one, the tip. Help tip CLI. What? Basically, this is actually gives a kind of random tips for the CLI. I haven't used this command ever. Help tip use the replace command in the configuration mode to globally replace a pattern. Okay, yeah, this actually this is just a command to get random tips. So right now, as you can see, that it's actually talking about the replace command, which we are also going to talk about later in the later in the video. So let me see if I can generate more. Now, yeah, see, it started giving some different. It gave a different command. Let's say random commands, random things. Okay, and let's talk about the last one. Help topic. Help topic. What do we have in here? Help topic BFD. Let's talk about BFD. BFD, bidirectional forward detection. No, we want more. Okay, no issue. Let's see what this guy has to say about it. So it also gave you the syntax, way to configure BFD. To configure unified issue trace option for the BFD session, include the issue statement, blah blah blah, whatever. Basically, it displays the usage guidelines for a particular command. Let's try something different then. I'm not gonna try BFD. Let's talk about something different. OSPF 3, we are all familiar with that, so let's try OSPF 3. And area range interface, area range, yeah, let's see. So you have in front of you the usage guidelines for configuration statements, like for OSPF area range. As you can see, the area border routers send summary link advertisement to the describe the routes to the other area to minimize blah 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 blah. We all know this thing. Thanks a lot. Okie dokie. Now let's talk about some CLI commands. Okay, let me see if I have to show you something more in this. Okay, yes. Minimize it. If you want to jump, these are actually shortcuts for the CLI. So you can one backward, escape B, escape F. You just go through these. Okay, done. Let's get back. Okay, set. Once again, let me just clear the screen. So we are at the root. Everything is configured using the set command, set. Let's talk about few set commands here. Okay. I'm going to go through the important ones so you can understand. The access is for the network access configuration, like configuring Microsoft CHAP, all those things. Accounting option, this is actually used to configure accounting statistics data collection for interface. We have this thing in Cisco as well. So how much traffic has come in and gone out, right? And firewall filters and all those things. Class of service for the QoS configuration, and firewall for the firewall. These are the important ones. And this is also important. I'm going to talk about this thing later. Interface, to define the properties of an interface like the IP address, and set the parameters of the physical interface. Physical parameters like the MTU, and speed and all those things. The protocol configures the routing protocol, including BGP, IS to IS, LDP, MPLS, OSPF, RIP, and RSVP, Resource Reservation Protocol. And routing instances configure the multiple routing instances. Routing options, this actually configure the protocol independent routing options such as the static routes, autonomous system numbers, confederation numbers for the BGP, and the global tracing or the debug operations to log. System is what we are going to base this video on because this is one of the most important things. So it whatever you configure under the system affects the entire system. Configure system-wide properties, including the host name, domain name, server, user login permissions, and all those things. Okay, so I hope you got the hang of the edit command. So you want to jump to edit. I'm going to give you just one more recap. So edit. What do you want to edit? So we want to configure system settings. So you go to system. Basically, if you want to, if you are configuring a particular setting, for example, if you are configuring settings of an interface, then you want to go to the, you want to be in the edit in the hierarchy of the interfaces. Otherwise, you'll have to type lengthy commands in order to. So, for example, I'm going to show you the command to type to define the IP address. Set interfaces EM0 and unit 0 family inet address 1234/24. Okay, so on typing this command, this will be defined. It will be set on the EM0 interface. Now, if you want to configure more properties of EMware, then you have to keep typing set interface EM0. In order to be able to save yourself from doing that, you go to that hierarchy. Now you will not be needing to type set interface EM0. Everything will work inside this. Set MAC, set MTU, set units, and all those things, right? So that is the most important thing about the edit and the edit mode. It lets you cut down on the commands. Let's get out of it. Nope. Now, okay, let's talk about the configuration command, the configure. Let's get out of this. Yep. Configure command. So as you know that we can make use of edit or co to enter to the configuration command, configuration mode, or the global configuration in Cisco world. So first of all, the users must have the configure permission to view and to use the configure mode. So if, since we have logged into the using the root command, the root user, we are king of the hill. We can issue anything under the sun, right? But in order for other users to log into the to issue the command configure, they have to have some permissions, right? When the configuration mode, a user can view and modify only those statements for which they have access privileges set, but we are not talking about the privileges at this point in time, right? We're going to talk about this thing later, right? We have to have privileges, but we're going to configure those things. Now, the Junos actually support 3 forms of configuration command, and this is very, very important. A is the configure by itself. Then we have configure private. Then we have configure exclusive. And I'm going to bring up this slide on this just to show you. Yes. Okay. Now you can read this thing. What is configure? No one can. This is the edit axis and this is the commit axis. Who can edit the changes and who can commit those changes? As you know that when you configure certain things, it does not get implemented straight away. It gets written to the to the candidate configuration. Okay. So let's talk about the edit axis. Configure by itself, no one can lock the configuration. So these are like, is a scenario when more than one person or more than two-person actually log into the router. No one can lock the configuration. All users can make configuration changes. All right. And as far as the commit goes, no one can lock the configuration. All users commit all changes to the configuration. If two users are logged in on the device at the same time and making changes to the candidate configuration, and the second user commits his changes, the configuration changes made by the first user are also committed. So if two users are logged in, and if one of the user commits a change, that commit the changes made by the first user is also, or are also changes are also committed. Let's talk about the commit private. Now, multiple users can edit the configuration at the same time. Each user has a private candidate configuration to edit independently of other users. Okay, so there's a private candidate configuration for each user who has entered the configuration mode using the configure private parameter. So when we commit the configuration, the router verifies the operational configuration that has not been modified by another user before accepting a private candidate configuration as the new operational configuration. So if the configuration has been modified by another user, we can merge it. We can merge the modification into our private configuration and attempt to commit again. Okay, you got this point? So if the other user has also committed, first of all, you'll have a different private candidate configuration to work on, and if one of the user has committed the configuration, then those changes will be merged onto your configuration as well. And if there is a discrepancy, it will show up on the screen. Configure exclusive. Only one person logs the configuration and make changes without interference from other users. Other users can enter and exit configuration mode, but they cannot change the configuration. So you can enter the configuration mode and get out of it, but you cannot make changes. Okay. So if we enter the configuration mode while another person has logged the configuration, we can, with the CLI displays the user and the hierarchy level the user is viewing and editing. So if you are configuring the router in configure exclusive mode, and if I happen to enter the router, I will be able to enter the configuration mode. The moment I enter that, the CLI will display the user and the hierarchy level the user is, or you are viewing or editing the configuration. So if we enter the configuration mode while another user has logged the configuration, we can forcibly log out by issuing this command. I'm going to talk about the request thing later in the video. All right. So let's talk about some more information about the configure by itself. So when we enter the configuration mode, the client displays the following information. So if one person is already working, the list, when we enter the configuration mode by itself, a list of other users editing the configuration is shown. The hierarchy level is also shown, and whether the configuration has been changed but not committed. There's so much so for the list is shown, the hierarchy is shown, and whether the changes are committed or not. All right, so much so for the configure mode by itself. Now let's talk about the commands. So there's something more of the I talk about the configure exclusive. If we enter the mode, the configure exclusive mode, we lock the global configuration mode, right? Also known as the shared or the share configuration database, for as long as we remain in the configuration mode, which allows us to make changes without interference from the users. So other users can enter and exit, but they cannot make changes. As you can see that if however another user is already there, we can log it out. We can issue this command, where it is, request system log out followed by the name of the user, obviously. Okay, I am going to pause the video right now. Let me just complete this part, at least. Actually, let me just complete this part, and we're going to pause this video because I need to have some water, man. It's been almost 1 hour. I've been running my mouth. Okay, let's talk about configuration private. Some more information. So when we are in the configuration private mode, we must work with a copy of the most recently committed shared configuration. Recently committed shared configuration. If the global configuration changes, so if someone else logged in, who is logged into the router, changes it, we can issue the command update to update our private configuration, candidate configuration. When we do this, our private candidate configuration contains a copy of the most recently committed configuration with our private changes merged in. Right, so you have logged, two people have logged in with the configure private, um, in the configure private mode. One of the person changes the configuration and commits those changes. The other person has to you issue the command update, and when we do that, the configuration changes gets merged in. All right, we can also issue the rollback, but that's later, not a problem. Okay, now as I told you that I would like to take a break now, and gonna be back in next part. All right, that's the end of the part 1.